living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Traveling is a great way to explore the world and spend time with loved ones. The pandemic caused a big gap where no one was traveling, but now people are making up for lost time, driving, cruising, or flying just about anywhere. Welcome to Healthy Living for Life, a show dedicated to helping you do just that. I'm your host, Beth Brown, and today we're going to talk about safe travel and how to better afford that dream vacation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. Joining us today is Leslie Egbert, owner of Live Longitude Travel. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's talk about travel, and let's start with flying, if we could. And so it seems like safety regulations, a lot has changed with flying, especially during COVID and now post-COVID. Mm-hmm. What are things like right now as far as those safety regulations?
So for the most part, it is business as usual. You need to go to the airline's regulation website. Every major airline has their own safety requirements listed of what's needed, but really for the most part, especially for us traveling from the U.S. or domestically, it's back to business as it used to be pre-COVID.
Okay. And is that the case for traveling to other countries as well, or are there countries that are requiring proof of vaccination or masks or anything like that?
For the most part, most of the world is open to vaccinated and unvaccinated travelers. You need to research your destination of what's required, but for the most part, except for Indonesia and some different Asian countries, it is business as usual. So it's great.
Is that the same for events or restaurants or maybe concerts that you're attending, or are there certain places that are still trying to be cautious when people are indoors?
For the most part, those have all been lifted as well, okay. But you do need to review wherever you're going and whatever you're doing to make sure that you're following the guidelines that they have in place and you don't have any surprises when you get there.
Okay. Are any airlines still doing anything as far as health or safety regulations, masks, things like that?
Nope. It is for travelers coming back into the U.S. that aren't U.S. citizens. Yes, there are still requirements, but for U.S. citizens, everything has been lifted for as far as we're concerned. And if you're flying internationally, you need to look at that country's requirements for entry, but most of those have been lifted as well.
Okay, and I know the airlines are sort of like whatever you're most comfortable with at this point. Mm-hmm. And there are people who are still feeling a little cautious about COVID, especially older folks. What's your recommendation for them, or what should they keep in mind when they travel?
Absolutely. And with everybody, pack your patience. There's still a lot of delays and things happening as staffing levels aren't up to normal. The fleets aren't fully back to where they were prior to COVID. But it's really what's your comfort level, and be smart when traveling. Make sure you're washing your hands regularly, you're not touching your face, that you're healthy before you travel. If you're sick, just don't go.
Yeah, that's good advice. And so then what about for folks who are trying to plan a vacation, and I think just about anywhere, especially when you're trying to buy plane tickets, they have that box you can check. If you pay a little extra money, you can get trip insurance. Do you have advice or recommendations there?
I'm a firm believer in travel protection and trip insurance. During COVID, we had a lot of our clients that were covered, thank goodness. It's a good product, but there are different travel protection and insurance policies out there, and you need to know what you're buying to make sure that what you're wanting to have covered is covered. Because yes, those little boxes on your airline tickets are probably going to be the least expensive, but they also have limiting coverage, so you need to be aware of what that actually does cover.
Okay. All right, that's good too. So we talked about washing hands and things like that. That's great advice. What about other countries where you're trying to avoid illnesses that maybe we don't necessarily have here? What's your advice for just not getting sick while you travel?
That's a great question, and it's being cognizant of, where you're at. Hand sanitizer is a good friend. Bringing along sanitization wipes are great because you might not have access to running water right away. And then if you feel like you need to wear a mask, absolutely wear a mask. And then also, I like to prepare before I leave. So making sure you're eating healthy, you're exercising, you're drinking plenty of water, and then also you're staying hydrated when you travel. Are some easy ways that don't take a lot of effort to make sure you try to stay healthy when you're traveling.
And there are countries that require certain vaccinations. Is that right? I'm thinking more like not as developed countries. How do you find out what vaccinations, not necessarily COVID, but other vaccinations you might need?
Sure. So if you're working with your travel advisor, they can give you a list. You can go to the CDC's website to see what's required for that destination, or you can talk to your doctor.
Okay, that's good advice too. Okay, so we're coming up on a break here. We have about a minute left. Anything else that you would give us as far as advice for either our health or just making general plans for travel?
I always start about a month before I'm going to travel and just making sure gut health, I think, is essential for travel, is keeping your gut healthy and strong before you leave.
Smart.
Because we're not used to certain bacteria, and especially if you're going into foreign countries that are less developed, you need to have that strong gut, and that's going to help keep you healthy during your trip.
Yeah, and that's for food and water too, right?
Absolutely. Being careful about what you're drinking, only drinking bottled water. And a lot of countries don't have potable water, so just being careful of that. But one thing that people don't think about is when they're dining out. If you're in a very undeveloped country, stay away from fruits, salads, vegetables that have been washed in local water. You might not think about, but those can easily turn into having a pretty upset stomach and ruin your trip.
Wow, what does that leave people to eat? That would be tough.
So making sure it's cooked. A lot of really good quality restaurants, if dining in very good quality places, are going to be safe for the most part. But it's just being aware of where you're at, how they're preparing the food. You can always ask the restaurant how they prepare their food as well if you're concerned about that. But it's one thing just to keep in mind that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, that's smart. I wouldn't have thought about it. All right. Well, thanks, Leslie. That's good information. We do need to pause here for a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about travel arrangements you may need to make if you need a little extra help, maybe going through the airport, things like that. We'll talk about that right after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. We're still chatting with Leslie Egbert, and thanks again for being with us today.
You bet.
So let's talk about travelers that are older or maybe have a little bit trouble with walking or getting around. So in an airport, if someone has a walker or a cane that they typically use, what do they need to keep in mind when they're trying to travel?
So one of the best things that you can do, and that it's free, is to let the airline know that you need assistance, and they can help get you from gate to gate. And you can either call the airline, or if you can go online to your ticket and just go log into your ticket from the airline's website, and you can ask for wheelchair assistance from there.
Okay, great. And
what gate assistance?
Okay. What if you're in your own wheelchair? Is that different? Because I've definitely seen them, sitting at the gate waiting with a wheelchair. But if a lot of those wheelchairs now, people have pretty highfalutin mechanical things that are, if they need that wheelchair, what do they do?
Same thing. So, yep, it's the same thing. There's a lot of accommodations for ADA travelers anymore. So, yeah, you just need to let the airline know what assistance you need.
Okay. And then what about like hearing impairments or visual impairments? How can people make sure they're hearing or seeing everything they need to be aware of when they're at the airport?
Sure. So again, your airline's website directly on delta.com, united.com, or whatever airline you're flying, is going to have what options they have available, what accessibility options they have available for hearing impaired or vision impaired. But airlines do have a variety of options available for travelers. You just need to see what that specific airline offers.
Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about cruises. What do cruise lines have similar accommodations for people who have canes, walkers, hearing impairments? Can you talk about how to get help there?
They do. So there's a variety of different things that you can do. Again, you need to check with that specific cruise line because they do offer different things. But there's a wide variety anymore of services available. Everything from getting little boxes in your room for hearing impaired or vision impaired that are going to alert you if you've got somebody at the door or if your phone is ringing. They have TTY, different options for hearing impaired. You just need to let them know. And then another service that you can get if you do have trouble walking is you can rent a scooter. There's different services available for people that may have even just an injury that aren't going to be able to walk long distances. You can actually rent a scooter. They're going to deliver it to your cabin and then pick it up for you when you're done. So you don't have to worry about the hassle of trying to find one, pick one up, get it aboard, any of that. They take care of it for you.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. And then what about for those folks who are trying to get off the ship at their ports? Then how does that work for getting on and off the boat?
So you can ask for special assistance, and it's kind of similar to the airports where they're going to help you get on and off the ship.
Okay, great. So no matter how we travel, lots of us have medications that we have to make sure we have with us that we take every day or multiple times a day. Can you share a little bit of advice on what people should think about when traveling with medications?
So my number one rule, what everybody should do, never check your medications.
Okay.
Always take it carry-on in case you get lost luggage or something happens. You've always got your medications with you with your carry-on. The other thing is if you're traveling internationally, not all U.S. medications are available in different countries, or they may be considered illegal. So you need to check with that country's regulations and then also get a list of prescriptions from your doctor with your doctor's contact information, and also, if you can, a list of your prescriptions so that if you do need them in an emergency, you're going to know you can go to a local doctor, they can contact your doctor, maybe get the prescription transferred. There's different things to do, but you need to be prepared.
Yeah, smart. And that was going to be my next question about if you run into an emergency, you've lost your pill bottle or something. I imagine that's tougher in a country where maybe that medication isn't legal. So what should you do there?
That's going to be a little more challenging. Some travel protection policies do have prescription assistance included. So it just depends on your policy if that's available. And then you would have to reach out to your doctor, maybe work with your hotel concierge, or if you're with a tour group, or talk to your tour director. It's going to depend on your specific situation as to how to handle that, but that can be challenging. I also recommend taking additional medication. If you're gone for 2 weeks, take 3 weeks with you. Have a buffer in there in case you get delayed.
Yeah, that's really smart. And not only medications, what about just healthcare in general? So health insurance, I'm assuming if people have health insurance anywhere they are in the U.S., that should work fine. What about traveling abroad?
So that's again where your travel insurance comes into play. Okay. Different travel insurance policies have different medical coverages. You need to make sure that the policy that you're getting covers needs that you may have and that you're comfortable with. But travel insurance is really a great product that covers a wide variety of circumstances that you may run into.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question here. Let's talk about support animals or emotional support animals, service animals, or even just pets. Advice on how to travel with your animals.
So most airlines don't allow for free anymore emotional support animals. That got a little out of control.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So what they've done is that you can always fly for free with a support dog. But it has to fit specific requirements, and you can find those on your airline's website of what you need. If you are flying with a pet, you have to make sure that airline accepts that type of pet. If it's flying in cabin with you, it has specific requirements, as well as if you are sending them as cargo under, below deck, as we say.
Yeah.
They need to meet specific requirements as well. And all of that information is available on the airline's website.
Okay, perfect. All right, we're up against another break, Leslie, so we're going to pause here again for just a quick minute, but come back because after this we're going to talk about some financial tips and how to make your trip a little more affordable. Stay with us. Welcome back. Leslie Egbert is still chatting with us about travel, and now we're going to talk about some financial tips, which I'm sure everyone cares about. Who likes to travel, they don't want to break the bank. But inflation has been tricky. So let's talk about specifically traveling in 2023. What should people think about financially?
To plan ahead. 2023 is one of the busiest years we've ever seen, and that's across the board in most destinations. It is extremely busy. Things that we've never seen sell out or selling out. So the earlier you plan, the better off you're gonna be.
Okay, that's good advice. We talked earlier too about health insurance or emergencies if you need them. What about just having extra money for those kinds of situations? And should people carry cash? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'm not a big fan of carrying a lot of cash when you travel. I feel that it's riskier. Most credit card companies are really good about assistance while traveling if you have an emergency, or they're going to protect you more too if something should get lost or stolen. Whereas if your cash gets lost or stolen, it's just gone.
Yeah, what are you going to do? So older folks who are retired or on a fixed income that still want to get out and about, advice for them for keeping their travel economic?
Sure. There's different programs that we have. We have a lot of, if you're working with a travel advisor, we actually have a lot of great contract rates where we can save you money. We have thousands of hotels that are available that we get exclusive benefits for our clients, which can be free breakfast, an upgrade, a free transfer. There's different things that can help save you money. We also offer bundled packages, which give you discount air that isn't available to the general public. So there's different ways that we can look at saving you money. If you prefer to plan on your own, there's different clubs like, AAA, AARP, things like that that may help you save money. And we also have access to AARP and AAA rates as well. So cool. there's just a lot of different ways that we know, because we work in the industry, that we have programs and products available to help save some money for those people.
Okay, that's good to know. What about when to purchase plane tickets? I've heard that sometimes you can find that sweet spot where you buy it just the right time and get the best deal. Is that true, or what are your tips there?
Since post-COVID, the old rules do not apply now.
Oh, okay.
We used to be able to kind of gauge when we were going to see a good fare drop. It's just not the same anymore. So typically Mondays and Tuesdays were the best days to buy your tickets. That's not necessarily true anymore.
Okay.
And we're really finding that because the fleets are not back in the air, and there is a staffing shortage still with the airlines, we're seeing planes fill up a lot faster. So my recommendation, if you are booking your own air, is get onto the airline's website, see how many seats are still available. If the plane is really empty, chances are we're going to see that fare come down, because they're going to entice people to, book this fare. If your flight is, the sooner to travel, the more expensive it's going to be. Or the fuller the plane, the more expensive it's going to be. Okay. Once you see a plane start to fill up, you're not going to see that fare come back down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Gone are the days when you lucked out and got a row to yourself, right? That never happens anymore. Is that the same with cruises too, as far as how far in advance to buy?
So cruises are kind of they're a little bit different, but we have some ways that we can help you save. So again, the earlier you book, the better. But with cruises, you can actually do a price adjustment. If a new promotion comes out or a new sale comes out and it's before final payment, you can actually readjust your pricing and get the new price. Just know that the promotions may not carry over if you booked in a promotion to begin with. But yeah, you can always do a price adjustment.
Okay, that's cool to know. What about just safety tips as far as traveling with money? Let's talk about credit cards. Any advice there?
I always notify my bank or my credit card company some credit card companies cover you and you don't need to do that anymore, but it's always a good idea if your credit card company does have that travel option to go in, and you can do it online or you can call them and let them know that you're traveling. And then just either put them, depending on where you are, sometimes the safe in your room is a good idea, sometimes it's not that secure. Okay. Depends on the hotel. There's different ways you have secure wallets available now that you can hide them on your body. There's different ways to try to protect and keep your card safe.
Yeah, those scarves with hidden little compartments, I've seen those, yeah. So we talked about cash, traveling with cash being kind of tricky, but for those people who do like to travel with cash for whatever reason, what's your safety advice there?
So split it up. Don't carry all of your cash in one wallet. Split it up into different wallets. Put it in a locked suitcase. Make sure you've got a really good lock for your suitcase if you're going to leave it in your room or your safe, just depending on what your comfort level is. But I've never heard of a situation or had a situation where a room attendant broke into somebody's suitcase that had a good solid lock on it. So that might be a good option for you. Hide it within your suitcase, someplace somebody's not going to look. Maybe roll it up in a pair of socks. Put it where you're going to remember where it's at.
Yeah, that's smart.
But also split it up so you're not packing around a large amount of money with you. Just take what you need or what you think you need for that outing.
Yeah, that's also smart. So speaking of outings, let's squeeze this in here really quick. So folks plan excursions, or they're going to go to an event of some kind. If they want to plan some kind of outing, number one, how do they make sure it's not a scam and it's a legit outing? And then number two, how do they get good deals on those?
So talk with your travel advisor is my best advice. Yeah. We have partnerships all over the world. We work with specific guide companies. We know guides, we know tour companies. And then that's probably your safest bet. Otherwise, you can always go through the hotel or the resort that you're staying at, talk with the concierge, have them set it up. So I would work through a professional channel just to make sure that you're not going to get scammed.
Good advice. Okay, Leslie, that's it. We're out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of good information today. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll come back and see us again next week. Until then, stay fit, stay well, and stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life. Have a great week, everybody.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the Healthy Living for Life logo. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.